Hi everyone, welcome to the next Illustrator tutorial that I'm going to be doing. So as you can see, today's task is to draw and trace the Jagermeister logo. So there's a sort of a procedure I want you to follow with this really, and I'm going to go through this step by step. Now we're going to cover some of the tools we've already looked at, pen tool, Pathfinder, and sort of bring in some new ones as well, such as clipping masks and opacity masks. So without any further ado, let's get going. So as always, like I say, first thing you want to do is set up your layers. So if you come over to here, as you can see, I've got my my base on the bottom layer, and then I'll be working on layer 2. Now it kind of depends really on how confident you are in Illustrator, because another thing you can do is simply lock this in and just draw over the top of it. But you know, if you were a little less confident, I'd be tempted to sort of put that on one layer, lock that in, and then create a new layer. And add that in and trace over the top then. For the sake of this exercise, I'm going to use selection lock. So if I come here and I simply go Object, Lock, Selection, or Command 2, and you can see now I can't select this at all, so I can trace over the top of it. So if I zoom in here, Command and plus. So the first thing you should do is look at the as I say, the picture you're going to be tracing, or the object or whatever, and break it down and think, right, what am I going to trace first? So we'll trace the deer first and the antlers. So if I come over to my pen tool, and that's selected there, remember hotkey P, and like I say, remember now, fill off, stroke on. You just want to be drawing with the stroke, don't worry about the fill color. And remember, you know, the pen tool, the only thing it can do is draw straight lines, or draw curved lines, and that is the only two things this tool can do. So if we start here and start in on the antlers, so if I click there, and I'll explain in a minute why I'm going to sort of trace over this in a sec. So click and drag, and a sort of massive feature really of the pen tool. If you hold Alt when or as you're dragging before you've released the click, you can then dictate the direction of the next curve. So if you don't want it, if you want it to be a big curve, you can sort of go that way in that direction. So I'm going to sort of come down here. I reckon it'll go about that direction. Click there, and if I come up to here, about there, I'd say. Let's come up here, and you just got to sort of work it as you go. Use Alt, come down there to touch, maybe across there, and you just build it up like this, sort of slow and steady. If at any point you feel, that sort of you need to go back and play around with a few things, remember use the direct selection tool, click the anchor point, and then you can either adjust the curve there, or another tool I like to use is the smooth tool, and I can come back and just smooth those edges out by clicking and dragging. So I come back to the pen tool, and I just connect this up for now. As I said, now you'll notice that I've drawn this section here, even though there's a gap there. Now there's a reason for this, and that is now where I'm going to introduce the Pathfinder, which you see I've got open there. You can go to Window, Pathfinder to bring this open. So if I just come down to the bottom a sec, and I'll just quickly go through the Pathfinder options. So let's draw two shapes. Let's draw two squares here. That's fine. Right, so as you can see now, I've got two separate squares here. Now if I highlight these, first I'll go through the shape modes. So unite, quite simply, the shape is united together. Subtract is the top shape. Well, let's get that back to two separate shapes. There we go. Subtract is the top shape will be subtracted from the bottom. So there we go. I've got that shape there. Undo, Command Z. If I intersect, I get the shape where the two overlap, and if I exclude, the overlapping bit gets punched out, and then I've got these two separate bits here. Now you notice with shape modes, the shape is united as one, and the Pathfinder is a little bit different. I just draw another square here. Right, so I've got two squares here. If I highlight these and I click divide, now you can see with the Pathfinder, I've got 3 separate shapes here, but when I go to click them, they're all still connected together, and that's simply because they're grouped. And whenever you Pathfinder something, all the separate shapes will be grouped together. And to get around this, all you've got to do is right-click and ungroup, or Shift-Command-G. And now if I try and separate them, there we go, I've got my 3 separate shapes. And if I want to group them back together, I just highlight them, right-click, and group, or Command-G. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's go back. There we go. Let's go back again. I think that's right. There we go. Highlight these. Trim. There we go. Now I've got the top shape has taken the bit of the overlap from the bottom shape. So if I ungroup these, and you can see there, I've got that shape and I've got that shape. Bring these back together. If I highlight these, merge. Now this pretty much does what Unite does. With merge though, the 2 shapes need to be the same color. If they're a different color, the merge won't work. Highlight these. If I go to crop, there we go, I've got the intersect there. So again, you know, some of these Pathfinder tools will sort of do what these shape mode tools do. So you just got to find the ones that work for you. You know, for example, outline, I would never really use that, but it just sort of shows you the path of the shape and nothing else. And then finally then, with minus back, if I just create another 2, another shape, highlight these, group them together, and then if I bring this to the front by right-click, arrange, and bring to front, and then if I select these then and minus back, it will take whatever's behind that shape and punch it out. But obviously they've all got to be on the same, all grouped together for it to happen multiple times. So if I Command Z and come back, so that's the Pathfinder really in a nutshell, and it'll be one of the sort of the biggest tools you use in Illustrator, because you can sort of, you know, add shapes together and subtract and things like that. So how does that apply to the Jagermeister logo? Well, if we come back up, now when you're sort of tracing and drawing, you want to try and save as much time as possible. And you know, one of the ways you can do this is by copy and paste. You know, if you draw a certain section and then you can sort of paste it over another section. So I reckon this horn by ear is pretty similar to this one. So if I right click there, if I click this, sorry, and I press Command C, Command V to make a duplicate, or if I click, hold Alt, and then click and drag, I can create another duplicate. You know, hold Alt, another duplicate. So if I click and drag this and put it over there, now can you see how that's sort of lining up there? Not quite, I've got to address this a little bit down here. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to go back to my pen tool and I'm going to use my anchor points. So my add, delete and convert if needs be. So if I add, if I go to add anchor point, add one there, and then I just click backspace, I can delete that path there. Then I can use the direct selection tool, click and drag that so it's aligned with that. And then I reckon then if I click and drag this, come up here a little, and then if I go back in with the pen tool, so click P, click there, and then yeah, I'd say about there maybe, and then if I click pen tool and select them up, selection, now there we go, I've got these 2 shapes here. And then if I highlight these 2 and I click Unite, there we go, it gets rid of that little bit for me, and then I've got the outline building up here nicely. And I could sort of, you know, this one I'd probably draw from scratch because it's a little bit different to these. And then, you know, I could draw this antler and then copy it, duplicate it and reverse it to come over this side. So that would be edit. Hang on a sec, if I click that. Oh, sorry, object, transform, reflect. See, and I can reflect it there. So, you know, trying to save as much time as you can really when you're drawing. So, you know, continue that one with the pen tool, and eventually you'll get to a stage like this, you know, where I've sort of traced as much of this as I can. Let me just lock this. And again, like I mentioned there, you know, if I sort of right click this, maybe I use Alt, click and drag, object, transform, reflect. Yep, that's fine. If I sort of bring this over here, You know, like you see it's a little bit off there. So again, what I do then is I go back in with the direct selection tool, and I can start amending this here then. So maybe bring that across there. That can come up there. You know, and this, you know, this will save you so much time rather than going back and retracing this entire sort of antler. If I can just go in and just make a couple of changes, then, you know, it'll save yourself so much time. Here then I'd be tempted to add anchor point there, backspace to delete, add anchor point there, backspace to delete. And then if I go back in with the pen tool then, and I can connect this up here, and so on and so forth, connect these up, connect this bit up. So eventually then you will have the outline of the deer with the antlers. Just lock that. So I've got the outline. The next thing I'd be tempted to do then is to start tracing these insides here. And I'm not going to go in with any colour again. I'm still going to keep everything drawn. I'm going to add the fill right at the end. So keep everything in stroke until you get to the end bit where you get to add the colour. Now with these bits, it depends on what you're after really. I mean, you could use the pen tool and start, you know, sort of very slowly coming around here, but I would be tempted for this. If you've got a Wacom, your life will be made a lot easier with something like the brush tool. So if I click here, and then what I can do then with the brush tool is I can click and drag, and I could draw this with the Wacom using the brush, and sort of draw all this shape here. And once I've completely drawn it, then I'd click this, come up here to my brush options, and I get this back down to a basic brush, like I've done here. I know this weight is a little thicker, yeah, I've got a 3 on that, so yeah, I could keep this a 1 for now. And I would connect all this, sort of draw all this, and then I connect it up then at the end using the pen tool. And then I've got my full shape then. And I would do the same for the rest of, so, you know, draw that, draw that. Again, you know, be sensible about it, be clever. So, you know, like this, you could duplicate to there, this could duplicate to there. You know, these eyes you could duplicate. So look at the drawing and think, right, what can I sort of draw and what can I get away with copying and duplicating? So once I've drawn all that, I'll be at a point here. And notice here how I haven't used the Pathfinder yet. I'm going to do that at the end. So I'll connect and subtract all this up at the end. I've just drawn it all at the moment. So I've got the antlers and the deer pretty much drawn there. So the next thing I'm going to do now is the background, is this circle bit here. So if I just, I'm actually going to copy all of this and object, lock, selection, lock all this. So I can't touch any of this now. Because now I'm going to introduce clipping mask and transparency masks to do this background here. So how would I do this sort of starburst effect? Well, what I would do, grab my pen tool, find the center there using smart guides. I reckon that's about right. So if I click there, and then if I hold shift, I can draw a perfectly straight line. And I reckon, you know, sort of maybe come down to about here. And I've got a straight line there. Maybe put the weight up to 2. I think I could get away with that. Now what I'm going to do, click that, go to my rotate tool, which is here, and then if I hold Alt and click, I get up my rotation options. Now if you can see here, say I go 30 degrees, if I click preview, there we go, it's spinning at 30 degrees for me. So I'm going to say 10, but I'm not going to press OK. I'm going to press copy. If I press copy, there we go. Now what that's done is it's rotated at 10 degrees, as you can see, but I've got this saved in my memory. And if I press Command D, which is duplicate, it does it again for me. Command D does it again. So now, can you see, I can actually Command D and flip this the entire way around and create that effect of a starburst that I'm after till I get right to the end there. And there we go. And that's pretty sorted there. So if I highlight all these now, now at the moment these are all separate stroked lines, and ideally if I want to go back in and change the color or anything like that, I'm going to want to sort of have this as one object. So what I'm going to do, firstly, take a duplicate of this. So if I Command C, Command V, and I'll put this up here with all other duplicates I've got. And this is very important. Whenever you do something like this, where you've got to change the state of it, for example, if you pick up font and a typeface, and then you right-click, create outlines, make a copy of the original font and put it on the side, yeah? So you've got all this stuff going on, so that if you ever want to go back and alter the artwork at some point, you can then go back to the original artwork, rather than when the whole thing is rasterized and punched down onto one layer. So if I highlight all these, go to Object, Expand, yes, fill, stroke, press OK. Now you can see that that's flipped. So now these are no longer stroked, these are fill. So they're actual objects now, instead of a stroke. And then if I come to my Pathfinder mode and I click Unite, I've now got an entire shape. So if I select this now, I'm not selecting one line, I'm selecting the entire shape. And that's really important, because if I want to go back in and then change the color, I can just simply click one part of this and the entire shape will select. So we've done this bit here. So the next thing we want to do now is clip this inside this circle area by here. So how do we do that? Well, very simple. All I want to do is draw a circle. So I use my ellipse tool. Let's get this back on stroke again, remember, because I'm drawing. And if I find the center, I'll sort of go there roughly. If I hold Shift, Alt, and then click and drag, I can draw a perfect circle there. I'll sort of draw this about by here maybe. And I've just got to find now, so if I use Selection tool, I've just got to try and line this up as best I can. Say if we come to about there, hold Shift and Alt, and I can bring that to about there, I'd say. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Now I want to make sure this is on top, so if I right click, arrange, bring to front, and there we go, this is on top of this now, and then all I got to do is select these two, Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and there we go. Now these are trapped inside this circle area there. And if I ever want to undo that clipping mask, all I got to do is Object, Clipping Mask, Release, Command 7 or Alt Command 7. So let's go back to here. And there we go. I've got this, these lines trapped in this circle here, So as you can see, it's starting to come together now. So the next step I want to do now, if we sort of look at the original artwork, let's come back to this one here. Yeah, can you see how there's an edge around here where the edge of the antlers is cutting through the lines, and the same here with the cross. You can't see this bit by here. So what we're going to do is create something called a transparency mask, which will then again cut through this shape, and we won't have the lines crossing through here and there. So first thing I'm going to do is draw this cross. So if I grab my, I could either use the pen tool or rectangle tool. I'm going to sort of opt for a preference with the rectangle tool. If I just sort of draw that there, that should be about right. Let's get my stroke on. There we go. And then if I tell you what, let's put the stroke up on this a little bit. 2, 3. Let's bring that back a touch. And then if I Command C, Command V, and then I hold Shift, rotate it, bring it up over there. Let's bring that to there. I've got my cross there now, so I'm going to create the entire cross. So if I click that shape, and I unite them, I've got my cross shape there. And then what I'm going to do is Command C, Command V, and I'm going to drag this cross away just so I've got that as a reference. And then with these antlers, and I'm going to come to this one here, right click that, come back here, Command C, Command V. Now what I want to do, I'm going to increase the stroke on this so that I've got enough stroke where we've got a thin outline here that's going to cut through all the lines here. So if I just come out of here a sec, pull this down, I'm going to give this a fill. So we'll just give it a, I tell you what, we'll give it a coloured fill so we can see what's going on. Just give it a yellow. And then the stroke then, I'm going to punch up quite thick. Again, I'll make the stroke yellow, so it's the entire thing. Can you see how that's getting thicker? 15, 16. I'd say that's about right. Maybe put one more on there, 17. Now what I'm going to do, I want this to be a complete shape. At the moment, it's a combination of fill and stroke. So if I highlight the whole thing, Object, Expand, that's fine. And then I'm going to do is unite the shape so that all these bits and strokes unite as one. And now I've got this perfect shape here. So come up to here, and I just place that over there. Yeah, that's fine. I'm liking where that's going. Now remember, I said it's important to keep everything you do, make a copy of it and keep it there. So luckily, I've got the circle up here. So if I Command C, Command V, and I'll use this cross here. Actually, I don't need that. I'll use this one here. If I bring this down here, I'll put the opacity to about 50% so I can see what's going on. Right click here, and I'll bring this to the front, and I'll also bring the cross to the front. Arrange, bring to the front. If I use the eyedropper tool, then click that one. Click the moose, the deer's head, and there we go. I've got the both of them in yellow now, so I can see where they are. And then if I use the selection tool, grab this, and I'm going to line this up now with the circle there. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Bring this back to 100%. Now, with a transparency mask, as you can see, I've got my transparency layer there. Window transparency, if you haven't got it up already. With a transparency mask, you can only use white and black. So white is for transparency, and black is for opaqueness. If you use colors, you'll just get shades of transparency. So you really want to either, you want to use white or black. So obviously we want this to come through, so we're going to use white. So if I click my fill, create white, and I've got my 3 layers here. Now all I got to do is click that, and hold shift and click that. And then if I subtract or minus front, right, there we go. Now if I come out, you can see I've got this shape here, which is great. That's what I want. So if I Command Z to go back, now if I unlock, I've got that selected. Yeah, that's fine. That's locked. And then if I hold that, hold shift and click the layer on top, and I come to transparency, all I've got to do is press make mask, and there we go. I've got my mask. Now, as you see, you can't really see what's going on there, but if I click here, there's my mask there. And can you see it's got the cross punched out of it, and it's got the deer antlers punched out of it. So if I Command Z and put it back there, and now what I can do is I can come back in, I could bring the cross in there. Let's line that up about there. Let's put a bit more stroke on that cross. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's fine. Line him up a bit there. Yeah, and that's fine. So there we go. Now that's starting to come together now. So if I Alt Command 2 and I unlock everything, I click this, and I'm just going to get rid of that for now. Now can you see now that is starting to come together ever so slowly. Command Z, bring that back there. That's absolutely fine. So then if I come across to here now I'm starting to work a lot more into this. Now as you can see, it's really coming together. So for this example, if we come back to this one, all I did was use the ellipse tool, Alt Shift and drag. So see about there, and then what I did, if I hold Shift and click that, click the center circle, and if I use my align tool, then so I got align to key object. Now can you see that one selected there? If I just click this one, and I select horizontal align, vertical align, and there we go. This is lining up perfectly with that circle. I bring this out a touch more, and then maybe bring the weight up so I can get it in line with what's going on around here. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's fine. And then if I can always object expand this, so you haven't got a stroke, it's got a fill. There we go. That's fantastic. I'm happy with that. And then what I want to do then is work into these little bits here. So if I, for example, I can click these, that, and I can subtract from there. So I've got this little bit here. I click this, hold shift, click this back one, subtract from there. Oh, hang on a sec. Let's try filling that. Hang on, let's find you. There he is. Click. Hang on a sec, where's this gone? Ah, there he is. Click, click. Third one, subtract. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Hang on a sec. Command C, Command V. Right. Bring this down here. Let's change the color of these to yellow. Into the back. That one there. Right, so I can see them now. So I click that, click that one. Subtract. Yeah, I don't know what went on there. As I said, there's a lot of layers going on here, so maybe possibly what the problem was this layer was above these two layers. So if that was the case, you'd simply arrange and send backwards and make sure these are on top, because remember, these two are the ones getting punched out of this. So like I said, there's a lot of layers going on, so remember to lock them as you go, and play around with them as you go. So yeah, and from there then you start building this up. So you said you can add color to that, subtract that, and then I'd be tempted as well. So if I click there, hang on, let's lock this circle in. Command 2, there we go. That's a lot easier. So if I click and hold Shift, click, 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 and then if I use the eyedropper tool, that one there, and I click there we go. Now the whole thing started to, they're all doing the same colors. And then what I can do then as I go is I can group these together, so that if I want to go back and change the color, I can change the color of all of them rather than going one by one. Group, and that's sorted there. So like I said, you build it up as you go. Use the Pathfinder, use the different the colors and things like that, and then eventually you'll be at this point here. So if I click there, Command 2, and lock this in, and I mean that's looking really good now. I'm really happy with that. So the final thing left then to do is the text. So if I zoom in here, Command plus, remember, for the text, I'd be very tempted to use the pen tool, because you've got a lot of curves and a lot of straight edges there. So remember, fill off, stroke back on, and then all I do is click, and if I hold Shift, I can get my straight lines as well. Click there, click and drag, that's good there. Hold there, click, and remember, hold Alt, and I can change the direction of the next curve. You come there. Yeah, that's fine. Close that. Hold there. Like I said, hold the Alt button. I've done that one a bit wrong. Command Z to go back. That's about right there. And then I hold Alt, bring it back down to there. And you build this up as you go. And you've got to be patient with it. The pen tool is it doesn't. You've got to practice with it. It doesn't come overnight. It is it can be very frustrating to begin with, but when you sort of realize what it can do, it's a very, very big part of Illustrator. Very important part, and it's important that you get used to using it properly, so that you can go on and draw some really good things with it. Let's just bring that back down there. There we go. Like I said, you'll spend a bit more time around than me. So if I highlight that then, and I click Unite, fantastic. I've got my got the J of the Jagermeister. If I move on to the A, now with this I'd be tempted to sort of do this one, and then I would draw these shapes, and I would use the minus front, obviously, to cut them out, and as I go. And remember, once you've done an E, don't do the E again. Duplicate, put the E there. Once you've done the R, put the R on the end. So a combination of using the pen tool, using the Pathfinder, and using copy and paste, and eventually you'll come to this point, And it's all a case of tidying up now. So if I click this Command 2 to lock, highlight these, if I use the pen tool, just click there. I just want it all in black. Oh, this one, sorry, I haven't cut these out. Like I said, yeah, let's come to this one. So yeah, this one here, these have been cut out. And what I've done here as well, can you see how these, if I come to this one, there's a couple of little bits here which, you know, sort of, I'm going to tidy these up. I don't really want them there. So what I can do is if I go back in then with the direct selection tool, click this, oh sorry, let's do it on this one because this one's expanded. So if I click here, unlock everything. Hang on a sec, let's just lock that. And if I click there, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. That bit there, yeah. Sorry about that, guys. It's late. Right, so can you see here, what I've done is I've cut these little bits out here. So if I go back in, so say for example, I want to get rid of this bit. I could go back in with the pen tool, and I can add anchor point there, say, or you know, say I wanted to cut this bit out here, I can add an anchor point there. Say I want to cut this bit, add an anchor point there, and then if I added one there, and there, and cut them out, use a direct selection, cut that one, and there we go, I've got rid of that bit there. And then if I go back in with the pen tool, and I can join that back up. Obviously I wouldn't want to get rid of that one because there's a little bit there, but you know, it depends on how sort of precious you want to be with it really. I mean, I could get rid of that and that there. And then that's pretty much it, guys. It's down to you then to sort of play around with the colours. Remember, if this is all, you know, what you'd want to do is make sure this is all grouped up. Here, you know, grab all these little bits here. If I Command G, then that's all grouped up. So if I want to change the colours, sorry, use the fill. You know, I can change the colour of the entire thing. And I would, you know, I'd be tempted to all these. You know, all the strokes I'd expand so they're all block fill, and then you can highlight the whole thing then and change the color. The only thing you will have trouble with is this. You're going to have to, with this, you're going to have to use direct selection and go in and select this and change the color manually. But the rest of it, you should be fine to change the color. So that's it, guys. So you know, I appreciate there's a lot to take in there, but you know, it's a difficult task, but you know, it's one that will really sort of challenge you and push your skills in Illustrator. So you know, have a go at it, and when you're done, move on to the next video.